Hey there, writer rebels. One of the things that most greatly impacted my productivity as a writer was when I started undertaking 90-day planning. Join me today while I talk about some of the benefits of 90-day planning and see if this is a system that might work for you. Hello everyone, it's me, Scarlett Kol, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a 90-day planning for writers. Obviously this is more of a general topic, but I am going to apply it to writers as this is where it has made the most difference in my life. But before we get started, for anybody who has never been here before, like I said, my name is Scarlett Kol and I'm a young adult author, YouTuber, and storyteller. I typically put up videos on Thursdays, and if you do enjoy my content, make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell so that you don't miss a single minute. Before we get started, I did want to mention that I have picked the grand prize winner for my giveaway, and if you did want to check out the giveaway announcement, you can check it out right here. Hopefully our winner is going to be very excited with the Stock Your Writer Library giveaway that I was running for the latter half of August, where they will get to pick 3 writing craft books or my own books if they were interested for their personal library. So if you do want to check out that winner, I have emailed them already. So if you haven't received an email, unfortunately, it's probably not you, or you need to check your inbox. If you really liked this giveaway and thought it was a great idea, maybe leave that in the comments below and I will consider having another one in the future. But for today, we are going to talk about 90-day planning. So what exactly is 90-day planning? Well, in the simplest form, it's basically setting your goals and your tasks and planning your life in 90-day segments or quarters. If you are like me, I am a CPA by day, so running things in quarters kind of makes sense for me, as a lot of companies run their finances in terms of quarters. Quarter obviously is 3 months or about 90 days, give or take. I basically started this, I took a course back in 2018, December of 2018, as I was looking for a way to get a better handle on my writing. I have a full-time and then some job. I have 2 very, very busy children. I have other hobbies and other interests, and I'm trying to fit my author business in and around all of those other things that are impacting my life. Unfortunately, sometimes this means I'm not reaching the goals that I had anticipated, and it was getting very frustrating for me to not get the writing done that I wanted to get done, or being overwhelmed by the amount of marketing or various different things that I needed to finish or that I felt that I needed to do to further my author career. This frustration obviously just perpetuated the cycle and made things a whole lot worse for me, as I would just get frustrated or burnt out trying to reach for this goal that I really wasn't super prepared to reach for, as I hadn't organized myself in the right way or in a way that worked for me. Around that time, I was introduced to the concept of 90-day planning, and it sounded like something totally different than what I was doing, and it kind of fit in with that accounting mentality that I already had. So I decided to sign up for a course. I can talk about that a little bit later, and it was phenomenal. I learned so much about 90-day planning, plus there were some other tools and techniques in that course that helped to get me to reach my goals and move forward. The following year, I wrote over double the amount of words that I had written in the prior year. I had published so many more projects than I had expected to. I got so much further ahead. I was less stressed, and I felt a lot more control of my author career than I ever had before. So there were some other changes that came along with the 90-day planning, but the 90-day planning was really the linchpin of sending me in that general direction. So why is this such a big deal? How is 90-day planning any different than any other planning that anybody else is doing? Well, I have 4 major reasons of why this worked for me. You might not be the same personality type. You might find this more stressful than less stressful, and everybody is going to be a little bit different. But if these are things that appeal to you, this is something I would highly consider checking out. I'm not going to get into all the semantics of 90-day planning, as there's various ways to do it. You can actually buy planners that are designed for 90-day planning cycles. You can look for 90-day planning outside of writing. Obviously, I'm going to talk more about writing, as that's where it applies mostly to me and to the people who watch this channel, hopefully. So that's the slant that I'm going to take with it. But you can check out videos on YouTube. There's going to be blog posts. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. So if you do think that this is an interesting thing to look into, you can leave some comments below and I will definitely answer them if you have questions. But if you want to look deeper into this, you can always find so many resources on the internet about it. So here we go. So why did 90-day planning work for me? Well, the first reason that 90-day planning worked for me is because it allows me to take my goals in bite-sized chunks. I've always been one to set goals at the end of the year. I have several things that I want to accomplish and that I want to achieve before the end of the following year. In terms of writing, a lot of this is writing books, which kind of makes sense. And writing books takes time. If you are a quick writer or you write shorter novels, then you will finish them in shorter amounts of time. But generally, for me, especially since I was fitting everything in around the other parts of my life, I was lucky to finish a book, maybe two, if I was really, really pushing it, within a year. So for me, to set a goal would be like, write this book. That's fine. And that gave me 12 months to do it, which was absolutely great. However, writing a book is a big task. It's not just like something that you sit down for a day and you just whip it off. Or, oh, I'm running behind on my goals, I should write that book this weekend. Generally, that doesn't happen, especially for those people that are a little bit slower writers or have other things going on in their life where they can't totally focus or dedicate their time to writing a book. So for me, 90-day planning broke everything down because you have to set goals for 90 days. I knew I couldn't write a book in 90 days. I didn't have the time to write a book in 90 days. So I needed to break that task down into a more manageable bite-sized piece. Okay, so I'm going to write the first act of my book, or I'm going to write 10,000 words, 20,000 words, whatever worked for me and that time period. And, or if you were doing 90-day planning, whatever works for you and your speed. This way, it allowed me at the end of the quarter to know whether or not I was on track and whether I was reaching those bite-sized goals. To write a book in a year, if it takes you a year to write the book, then obviously you need to be progressing over a period of time, because if it takes you that long to write it, you're going to need to see progress. So by breaking down my goals into 90-day increments, it was allowing me to break up those larger, grandiose goals that I would always set for myself at the end of the year for the following year that I usually tended to break because I never actually broke it down into pieces that were manageable, and it just felt so overwhelming to do an entire project that if I fell behind, it just messed me up for the entire year. By breaking it into these pieces for 90 days, it allowed me to take things one by one and essentially eat the elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it was letting me have those bite-sized pieces to move myself forward. The other part that this really helped with is it helped with the overwhelm on my author career. One of the problems that I was having was the fact that once you get into publishing, especially if you are self-publishing, there are so many things you can or should be doing to market yourself and get your books out there and to basically promote your work. So it just felt like so many things that I needed to do. By doing a 90-day plan, it allowed me to break down those marketing tasks into almost seasons over the year. And I wasn't constantly thinking about all of the marketing that I needed to do. It was just the amount of marketing that I needed to do for the next 3 months. And that seemed a lot more manageable for me than all of the possible things that were out there. When I made a list of all the things that I wanted to do at the end of the year for my books, it seemed like so many things that I needed to do. But to break it down in these 3-month increments where I'm going to worry about this book for 3 months, or I'm going to, do these specific marketing things or these specific promotion things for these 3 months. And then in my next 90-day cycle, I'm going to focus on different marketing tactics. It allowed me to break that stuff down and not feel so burdened by all of the things that I needed to be doing. This was really, really helpful with my stress level. And if you find yourself overwhelmed with the amount of work that you need to do, this might be something very useful because it will allow you to put everything into smaller chunks. The second reason why 90-day planning seemed to work for me is because it allows me to pivot on my goals. So when I get to the end of the year and I'm making this long list of everything that I want to accomplish in the upcoming year, my problem with this is I will come to the following December and I'll read through that list and I won't have accomplished half of them. And it's not that I wasn't working or that I wasn't trying to promote my author career and do my writing and do all that sort of stuff. It's just that the goals have changed over time. I planned on writing a book in this series, but then I changed my mind and did a completely different series. Or I got involved with an anthology and that took up a bunch of time. It's not that it's pushing me back on my author career, it's just that the goals that I set out in December of 2018 aren't going to be realized by December of 2019 because they're no longer my goals anymore. I've changed what I want to do, I've changed genre, I've changed whatever. So by doing things in 90-day increments and setting those smaller goals, it allows you to adapt with the changes and pivot. So if you take your first 90 days, so let's say January to March, we'll use a calendar year just to keep it simple. We'll go from January to March. Once you get at the end of March, you can assess where you are with your goals. Have you signed up for something else that is now taking your priority? Have you found that one of your series is totally taken off and you want to complete that series or add more books to it? Have you found a specific marketing campaign that's really working for you and you want to spend more time doing that? Is there a social media platform you'd like to spend more time on where originally you had planned to try and grow your social media on Facebook and it turns out TikTok is where you want to be? By reassessing everything every 90 days, it allows you to change your goals for the following 90 days. So when you get to the end of your following year or 4 quarters, you will have goals that are relevant to your actual time and space in that present, as opposed to trying to reach goals that are no longer relevant to you or feeling like you haven't accomplished anything because you haven't hit the goals that you set that are no longer relevant to you anymore. So these smaller chunks allow you to be a lot more efficient and a lot more flexible in terms of meeting your goals and seeing what works for you. This is something that has worked out really, really well for me. And at the end of the following year, I felt like I accomplished so much more because the fact of the matter is I had. The third reason that I love 90-day planning is because you get that New Year's feeling 4 times a year. I don't know about you, but I usually get 2 times a year where I get momentum going. It's usually in September, right around this time when school starts. My head's still there that it's the start of a new year. And then usually in January, like everyone else with their New Year's resolutions and their intent to go get them in the new year. You get this motivation to start, and usually for 2 weeks, a month, depending on who you are raring to go and you are working super hard to achieve your goals. Slowly over time, things start to fall off. You get busy, you miss a couple of days or something like that, and then all of a sudden, everything seems to be moving a little bit slower. And then you get into this mood where it's like, oh, well, now I'm already behind, and you're either chasing your tail, trying to get back on track, or you start to give up because you don't think there's any chance that you're ever going to achieve the goals that you set for yourself because you've already fallen off the wagon. The beauty with 90-day planning is that you get 4 opportunities of the year to start over. And a 90-day period is long enough to start to see change, but short enough that it seems manageable. Even after the first day into your 90 days, it's only 3 months. You can already see the light at the end of the tunnel before you've even got there. When you start a project in January, whether that be a book or weight loss or whatever, December seems so far away, but March really isn't that far. So when you're looking at 90 days, it's very, very easy to conceptualize that time period, and it's easier to keep that momentum going because when you first get started, you've got that New Year's rush of momentum that you're going to get things done and you're going to get things accomplished and you're going to take over the world. And then when you start to fall off a little bit, you can already see your finish line. Well, I am a little bit behind, but it's only a few more weeks until this quarter's over and I get to start again. So you get that kind of bookend of momentum. So sometimes there is a little bit of a lag in the middle of your 90 days, but you've got that big rush at the beginning and you've got that big push at the end, and you tend to accomplish more in those 90 days than you would over a series of a year, because you get to do it in 4 increments. So you've got basically 8 major pushes towards your goals, plus you don't tend to fall off for quite as long because it doesn't seem as far out towards the end. I never really realized that this was going to be a thing until I actually hit the end of my first quarter. Like I said, I took a course back in December of 2018 where I learned about 90-day planning and all that wonderful stuff. And then I started my quarter in January to March of 2019, and I bombed. I was awful. I didn't hit hardly anything. One of the reasons for that is because I didn't plan my time very well, because I'd never done this before. So I was just learning and figuring things out. And if you do take on 90-day planning or any type of planning, it does take time for you to figure out how you're using your time and how to do it effectively and to fit it into the time periods that you're working with. So it did take me a few quarters to get that figured out, but I'm generally okay now, and I've started to figure out how long things take for me. But for that first quarter, I was gung-ho that I was doing all of this wonderful stuff, and I overplanned like crazy. And when I got to the end of my 3 months, I didn't hit hardly half of the things that I had anticipated. It was actually really disappointing, and at that point, I considered quitting. I figured, you know what, maybe this system really isn't for me because I didn't do as well. Anyway, at the end of those 3 months, part of 90-day planning is assessing how you did in the prior 90 days and setting up your goals and everything for the next 90 days. I decided that I was still gonna go through that process, even though I'd completely messed up the first 3 months. As you know, I'd agreed to do this and I paid for a class, so I might as well at least give it one legit shot. So I sat down and I assessed the things that worked and what didn't work. The nice thing about that is there were things that I actually did really well that I never really picked up on, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. And the other thing that I had never really expected is I reset my goals for the next quarter. And even though I had missed stuff in the first quarter, and some of those goals actually dragged into the second quarter because I still needed to do them, even though they didn't get accomplished in the first 3 months, I was excited again. I had this total reboot of, okay, this happened and it's over, and that's okay. I'm going to start over and I'm going to tackle this and I'm going to get on top of it. And by the end of that second quarter, I had achieved those goals. So now, yeah, it took me 6 months to get through my first 3 months worth of goals because I kind of overset them for myself, but I did achieve them. And I kind of had this like midpoint break where I went, okay, I can do this, and basically rallied and got that motivation going back for me again. I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect this like freeing sort of momentum to happen. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when it did. Now going forward, I've actually kind of turned it into a little bit of a ritual. I know when my quarters are going to end. I do all of my planning. I clean up my office, and I look forward to I basically take a whole day and I look forward to that day of resetting everything and getting ready for the next quarter and building myself up and being excited about it. And it definitely helps my productivity because it puts me into this proper mood of moving towards my goals and moving forward, regardless of how awful the last 3 months could have been. And sure, there's definitely quarters where I still don't achieve my goals. Yes, 90-day planning is great for goals, but they don't give you a person to actually complete the tasks. If you can find a course that will give me somebody to complete my tasks, I will sign up in a heartbeat. But until that happens, you're still responsible for doing your own tasks. And sometimes even best laid plans go off the rails depending on your mood, something happening, or just generally planning incorrectly. It happens. But with 90-day planning, I find it's a whole lot easier to pick myself back up and to move forward than it was on these full year bases where I felt like I had wasted an entire year not accomplishing anything. Whereas only 3 months of missing out on something that I was doing wasn't such a big deal. And the fourth and final reason why I love 90-day planning is because you get to see your progress as it happens. If you are planning for an entire year, you are setting goals, and even if those goals stay relevant for your entire year, you generally don't check in with yourself until either A, you've accomplished the goal, regardless of how long it takes. It could be 8 months, could be 12 months, could be 6 months, or when you reassess your goals at the end of the year. When you look at 90-day planning, you are reassessing your goals every 90 days. So you can take a look at the things that you've done well, the things that you haven't done well, and it allows you to pick up from there. So there's a lot of quarters where I didn't accomplish all of my goals or have been very far from accomplishing any of my goals. But by checking in with myself every 90 days, I can see the stuff that I have accomplished, because I doubt that there's anybody out there who basically did nothing for 90 full days. You've achieved something, even if it's not the grandiose plan that you originally had in your head. You probably have achieved something along the way. And that was the part that I was missing. I wasn't celebrating the little victories that I had made by planning out for an entire year. And this 90 days allowed me to figure out the things that I did, the things that I did well, and why I did them well within that 30-day period. I found out the things that I really like to do or that are very quick for me to do. And I can take that information and use it when I'm planning going forward. And things that worked, and I have time to change the things that didn't. I also get to reflect on those things that didn't and check in with myself as to why those things didn't work out. There's a lot of tasks that sometimes we just push off or we procrastinate on because as much as they need to get done, we really don't want to do them. We're scared of them because they're very overwhelming, or we aren't sure about them, or we don't feel like we have all of the information. Well, if we keep putting these off every quarter, we can see every quarter what particular tasks we keep pushing off. So at that point, you can either address those tasks, you can maybe farm out those tasks to somebody else who can do them for you if that's something that you have the means to do, because clearly you don't want to do them for some reason, or you can see if those tasks really need to be done. This allows you to make more progress on those tasks that are really getting stuck at the bottom of your to-do pile because you're pushing them down there for whatever reason. So in a nutshell, it allows you to celebrate your wins and really assess your losses in a timely manner so that you can turn those into wins as well. So those are the reasons that I absolutely adore 90-day planning. And the course that I mentioned that I took before was I took the Heart Breathings method with another author tuber here named Sarah Cannon. If you've watched her channel, she's fantastic, super upbeat and very positive. And I really, really like watching her stuff. If you are interested in 90-day planning, there are videos, there are blogs, there is everything everywhere that you can totally check out for free. But if you are interested in taking the Heart Breathings 90-day system, which will encompass not only 90-day planning, but also goal setting and Kanban techniques and various other things to try to get your life in order for a 90-day planning, all-in program, then this is definitely something you want to check out. It's a completely video-based learning system. You have full access to the videos for your entire lifetime, and Sarah makes herself available for chats and live sessions if you do have questions or you need to make adjustments for things in your life. There's also a Facebook group where you can bounce things off people who have taken the course before, like myself, or new members that are just learning the ropes and figuring the system out. I highly, highly, highly recommend this course, and I actually tend to go through a lot of the videos or go to the chats for every session every time that she has it up, because I'm always learning something new, or it's always refreshing some of those skills that I had learned when I first took that course back in 2018. Like I said, I totally bombed my first quarter of 2019 and still managed to finish 2019 super strong by writing over double the amount of words I'd had before, publishing 2 books, and getting involved in so many more things and accomplishing so much more than I ever thought was possible without the total stress price tag that normally came with it. It made my life a lot easier to handle, and helped with a lot of the overwhelm that I was feeling as an author. As Sarah is a writer, she is focusing the course on a little bit more of a writer slant. It can be used by any professional or anybody who's interested in 90-day planning, but if you are a writer, she's obviously speaking more from experience, so you do get that benefit of hearing it from a writer, and that can sometimes make things a little bit more applicable. If you are interested, I have included a link in my description box below. Click on that link and it's going to tell you everything that you're going to learn in the course and all of the benefits that you would get from that. I am an affiliate of the course, so I will be upfront about that. And the only reason that I'm willing to be an affiliate with this course is because I have taken it. It has completely helped me and changed my writing life. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone, affiliate or not. So if that is something you are interested in, check it out. You can obviously check out the Heart Breathings channel with Sarah Cannon if you want to like just check her out and see kind of what her format's like and who she's like as a person and whether or not it's going to be a good fit for you. But for me, it worked out really, really well. And I keep coming back every quarter and going through that ritual of refreshing everything and starting over. And even when I've had really, really bad quarters, I've had that chance to re-energize and renew every 90 days. So if you are interested in 90-day planning, definitely check it out. If you use 90-day planning, maybe leave that in the comments and say whether or not it has been working for you or whether it doesn't. In terms of the course, I would recommend trying to take it for this quarter because, as I mentioned before, I totally bombed my first quarter because it takes a while to figure out what you're doing. So if you bomb the rest of this, you're gonna start your January a whole lot stronger. She usually does offer it every quarter though, so if you're not prepared to do that or you wanna mull it over a little bit, they will probably be offering it again in December. So you can always wait and check it out then. But that's all I have for you guys this week. 90-day planning has seriously been a fantastic secret weapon for me of keeping myself organized and keeping myself moving forward as a writer and as an author. And if it's something you want to check out or you have checked out, definitely let me know. If you are new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell so it'll let you know every time I have a video up. And if you liked this video or any of my videos, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up when you're watching them because it allows YouTube to know that this is something that people are interested in, and then they're going to promote it to other people to watch. Also remember, if there are any topics that you would like me to talk about either in publishing or writing, make sure you're leaving those in the comments and I will take a look at them and see if it's something that I could definitely address for you guys. And one last thing before I go, if you are an author and you want to get some words in this weekend, or you would like to learn a little bit more about craft, I'm going to be involved in the AuthorTube virtual retreats again. I did this back in the springtime where I talked about writing sprint hacks. I do have that video on my channel if you do want to check it out, but they're going to be doing it again. This time I'm around, I'm going to be doing a live write-in. So early Saturday morning, I'm going to be hanging out here for 2 hours, just getting those words in. Whereas there's also going to be some other panels. I know there's going to be some on romance writing. I believe there's some on editing, writing villains, I think maybe. But anyways, definitely check that stuff out. They are going to be running for not 1, but 2 days this time around. So both Saturday and Sunday. And I would love it if you came and checked it out. I'm also involved in some of the panels that are going on. They're going to have some traditional publishing panels, self-publishing panels, and various different things as well. So if you want to hang out in the environment and check things out, that would be great. I will leave the links for the playlists of all of the different panels, as well as all of the different write-ins in case you just want to come and write along with some other people and check it out. So that's all I've got, and you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you next Thursday.